empathy, empath, empathic. These words are such a deep part of this spiritual, new age, esoteric lexicon. Many people claim to be empathic. Many people desire to be more empathic. But like any spiritual or personality-defined concept, empathy has a dark side. So stay tuned in and let's explore this idea. I'm Daniel Twain, and this is Armchair Logic, where we try to bring logic to mysticism and the world. So this concept of empathy / codependency is not new, but it's one that I've paid pretty close attention to and one that I feel in myself. And I can only go by my own experience and explain some of the events that happened in my life that you may relate to, or that you can just experience through me. But I have been working with people for a good part of 30 years, and I've practiced everything from Chinese medicine to Watsu to craniosacral therapy. I'm forgetting some of the many other modalities I've experienced and learned throughout the years. Sound work, sound therapy, tuning fork work, music therapy. There's quite a long list of modalities in my toolbox. And for instance, when I was learning craniosacral therapy, I had a client who was an ex-heroin addict. And within 5 minutes of putting my hands around her head, I started shaking uncontrollably and couldn't stop this shaking. I had to excuse myself and go out to my mentors. I was working in a clinic at the time and ask them what to do. I couldn't stop shaking my hands. They were just trembling. I had to put them in my pockets and try to just get calm. And they told me about the white light, putting the white light around you and these techniques that you can use. But that never worked for me. It was what it was, and I had to process it in the moment and send it through or out, or I had to come up with ways to better handle those situations. Another time I was working with someone and I felt the most incredible sadness, and so I asked this person about it, and she said that her sister had just died, and it was very, very difficult for her to get over this death in her family. Another time I was working in Watsu as a student. I was working with someone in the pool learning a technique and was completely overwhelmed with the feeling that she had been molested by her father. And I could see it, I could feel it. It overtook me. I had to stop, I had to go inside and speak to the instructor. And that's when she first laid out that term empathic. She just said to me, "Oh, you're an empath." I didn't know what that was. So I explored it, and she actually hooked me up with someone who was able to work with me and give me some techniques on how to shield myself from those experiences a little better. But the ultimate experience came when I was studying Chinese medicine. I was in my late 20s. And I had a very powerful teacher, and he performed a Qigong healing on me. And I had such a deep experience that night that it's too profound to get into. But it left me with a feeling that I was in this game for the wrong reasons. I was good at what I did. I always had a steady clientele. I always had lots of patients who wanted to see me and got great results and had a wonderful experience. But there was something that I needed from the situation. There was a need that I had to be wanted, maybe, or to be loved, or to be respected. And it wasn't an ego thing at all. It really wasn't ego. It was more about needing to feel needed, needing to feel wanted. And understanding that took me to my shadow side, brought me back to my childhood that I had just blocked out. I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to think about it. I had just placed in my mind that my childhood was Leave It to Beaver, and things that happened were not in my consciousness. So that experience actually brought me to some depths of my personality and my upbringing that caused me to take a deep, deep, deep dive into why I act the way I do, why I needed this approval from people, why I felt unloved and felt that by helping people, I would get what I needed. And I did get what I needed on some level, but there was something missing. There was just something uncomfortable about it. And I experienced a lot of transference. I took on a lot of people's, stuff, thinking that I needed to process that for them. I know many alternative health healers or maybe even, allopathic healers have experienced this, where we feel like we have to take on the troubles of the world and our clients or patients. And so that experience while learning acupuncture brought me to my childhood. And I had to leave the practice. I had to leave my practice. I had to take some time and realize that it was unfair to me and to my patients that I was in need of this love that I didn't get as a child, and using these professions to get that. And I'm self-incriminating myself, and it's embarrassing, but I don't think anyone was hurt. No one was the wiser. I was kind and generous and compassionate to everyone who walked through the door of my clinics or studios that I've had over the years. So it was mostly me getting hurt. It was mostly me reaching for this love. So through that journey, I realized that I was codependent, and that this codependency stemmed from being abandoned as a child and living in a dangerous situation where we never knew what was going to happen next. From aggression to homelessness to hunger, we were never secure. And that created a deep, deep wound in my psyche. So throughout the years, I have been working on that, and I have been working with people again in large numbers and small numbers. But I always have to do my internal work. I always have to set boundaries. And not just with the other people, but in myself. I have to ground myself before I ever put my hands on someone or work with someone in any way. I have to know where I'm coming from. And that took a lot of work. That took a lot of deep, deep shadow, Jungian style, down in the depths, going back into my history and living with that for a while. And then letting that go and moving forward and getting healthier and getting stronger in my mind. So hopefully some of you understand what I'm talking about, and maybe this will help you to better treat the people that you're working with. In my experiences with colleagues and in my experiences in the many, many trainings I've done, I can spot people who are in it for love, who need people to need them, to feel worthy. And I hope that there may be empathic people who are just born that way, who grew up, in a stellar family with excellent experiences, who still are empathic. But I think for many of us, this empathy is just code for codependency. And I don't give myself a free pass and say that I'm empathic and that I have this gift. This gift was really a learned response to trauma. And trauma based in insecurity and many other childhood difficulties that I had. So if you've experienced this kind of trauma and you feel that something's just missing in your practice, that something just doesn't feel right about how you interact with people, even though you may be the best clinician or the best massage therapist, the best craniosacral therapist, or whatever modality you're in, if you feel that little pit in your stomach, or if boundaries are being crossed and people aren't respecting you, or you're giving your practice away, you're giving your skill away, taking on too much, neglecting yourself, feeling obligated to people to see them throughout their process, or to get them better at all costs, or to invest way too much time into other people's problems, you may want to explore codependency. You may want to see if some of those concepts relate to you. If in that exploration you may find healing, you may find techniques to get you healthier, to get you into being a better clinician or therapist. So I hope this resonates with some of you. It's not usually what you hear on these kinds of discussions, but hopefully this has helped. So thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Bye.